माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे प्रभुपाद की जय हो. Today is Nityanand Trayodashi, so I am doing some sloka from the Chaitanya Charitamrita and 12 name of the Nityanand Prabhuji. नित्यानंद प्रभु के चरण कमल में कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम. नित्यानंदो अवधूतेन्दुर वसुधा प्राणवल्लभ जानवी जीवितापति कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदा प्रभु पद्मावती सुत श्रीमान शचीनंदन पूर्वज भावमत्तो जगत्रात रक्त गौरा कलेवरः. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Some shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita to glorify the Nityanand Prabhuji. संकर्षण कारण तोषाई गर्भोदशाई च पयोपदिशाई शेष्यस्यां शकलां स नित्यानंदाख्या रामं शरणं ममास्तु. मायातीते व्यापी वैकुंठ लोके पूर्ण ऐश्वर्य श्री चतुर्विभु मध्ये रूपम यस्य भाति संकर्षणाख्यं तं श्री नित्यानंद रामं प्रपद्ये. माया भर्ताजान संगाश्रयांगशेते साक्षात् कारण बोधि मध्ये यस्य कांक्षी पुमनादि देवस्तं श्री नित्यानंद रामं प्रपद्ये. यशां शांशील गर्भोदशाई यन्नाभजं लोकसंघातनालं लोकसृष्टुसुतिकधाम धातुस्तं श्री नित्यानंद रामं प्रपद्ये. यशां शांशः परमात्माखिलानां प्रोष्टा विष्णु भारती दुग्धाभिषायी श्रोणी भट्ट यत्कलासु ओपेनानन्तस्तं श्री नित्यानंद रामं प्रपद्ये. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. निताय गौर की जय हो. Today I am doing Srila Narottam Das Thakur's song from Prathnama se. धन मोरा नित्यानंद पति मोरा गौरा चंद्र प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर धन मोरा नित्यानंद पति मोरा गौरा चंद्र प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर अद्वैत आचार्य बल गदाधर मोर कुला नरा बिलसे मोर वैष्णवेर पद धूली ताहे मोर स्नान केली तर्पण मोर वैष्णवेर नाम विचार करिया मने भक्ति रस आस्वादने मध्यस्थ श्री भागवत पुराण धन मोरा नित्यानंद पति मोरा गौराचंद्र प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर वैष्णवेर उच्छिष्ट ताहे मोर मन निष्ठ वैष्णवेर नामे ते उल्लास वृंदावने चौतारा ताहे मोर मन घेरा कहे दिन नरोत्तम दास धन मोरा नित्यानंद पति मोरा गौराचंद्र प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय हो। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। Now I'm reading the translation. Lord Nityanand is my wealth. Lord Gaurachandra is my master. The youthful divine couple is my life. Advaita Acharya is my strength. Gadadhara is my family. Narhari Sarkar is my glory. The dust of devotees, lotus feet is my bathing water. The chanting of the devotee's name is my satisfaction. Considering the merits of all Vedic literatures in the light of devotional service, I have concluded that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the best of all scriptures. My mind is firmly convinced of the spiritual benefit obtained by eating the remnant of foodstuff left by the devotees. The name of the devotees are my happiness. The land of Vrindavan is the enclosure with which I kept my mind. Poor-hearted Narottam Das speaks in this way. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranam to all devotees. Prabhuji, thank you for so much for wonderful seva. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much for the kirtan. Now I welcome all the devotees to the today's session on this auspicious day of Nityananda Troyadoshi. Before we start the class, let us start with the invocation prayers. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं त्वजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशा कल्पतरुभ्य च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। पंचतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं जेतां सुरतो पुङ्गर्मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्बोजो राधा मदन मोहनो दिव्याद् बृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमः श्रीमद् रत्नाङ्गर सिंहासनस्थितौ श्रीमद् राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवौ पृष्ठालिविसेव्यमानौ स्मरामि श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थित कर्षणवेणुस्वनैर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथ श्रियस्तु नः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। Now we will offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरोतिसे नमः. O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parsadam Yagge Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. नाना शास्त्र विचारण के निपुणों सद्धर्म संस्थापको लोकानां हितकारिणो त्रिभुवने मान्य शरण्यकरो राधा कृष्ण पदारविंद भजनान आनंदेन मत्तालिकौ वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्रीजीव गोपालकौ. I offer my respectful obeisances
Mataji, the class, I told you that this is starting right now. Don't you want to attend that?
राधा कृष्ण पदारविंद भजनान आनंदेन मत्तालिको सनातन रघुजुगौ श्रीजीव गोपालकौ. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta
So any time between Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in
I thought that's what you agreed upon. That's what I thought. I assume that you agreed upon.
Of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all.
Then it's not going to work out. I'm
Thus
sorry.
we are honored all over the three worlds.
I'm sorry, Mataji. Then it's not going to work out.
Taking shelter of, because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving.
No, so means you cannot attend the classes. Then I cannot accept you.
Oh, Namo.
Sorry about that feeling. I hate to do that. But this is a very difficult course, that's why.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jay Modire Nashta Prayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. With this, I once again welcome all the devotees to the today's session. And before we start today's lesson, that is Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta, let us have recap of the last class, which was on Buddhism.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Wishing everybody a very, very happy Nityananda Triyodashi. Let us start the recap of lesson 3, which is Lord Buddha's Shunyavadi philosophy. We saw the fundamentals of Lord Buddha's philosophy, how it is different from Vaishnava philosophy, reasons why Lord Buddha rejected Vedic teachings, although he was an avatar of Lord Vishnu. And Buddhism is how Buddhism is an atheistic philosophy. So let's dive into it. Hare Krishna. So my first question is, what was the time of Lord Buddha's appearance? What was prevailing in the society at the time of Lord Buddha's advent?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Hare
at the time of
Hare Krishna.
Kali Yuga.
Go ahead, Mataji.
No,
Yes,
go on,
Rajkumari
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Okay.
At the time of when there was Kali Yuga in the beginning, that then Buddha came. When
Okay.
Vedic knowledge also was declining.
All right.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So
Thank you,
that
Mataji.
particular time, like, okay, there was a most of a karma kanda is happening, Mataji. Okay. So in the name of Vedas, like doing the rituals and animal killing, that was one of the most painful thing, okay, which is happening.
Yeah.
So definitely, the
Correct.
Supreme Personality of Godhead did not like that. Okay, the killing was so much. Okay, so he wants to stop that matter.
Correct. So Lord Buddha's advent was basically to stop the prevailing rituals and hedonism that was happening. My second question is, what is hedonism? Anybody could remember? Sanjay
Anything
Prabhuji.
which we try and we get hardly, that is more, I think, difficult to get it.
Okay,
I'm not
but
sure my
what is...
answer is correct. Mataji, please.
Okay, fine. Anybody else would want to try?
यस माता जी, जैसे
Yes,
जैसे
Raksha
हम
Mataji.
ज्यादा से ज्यादा प्लेजर को लेना चाहते हैं, मगर इट इज वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट.
Hedonism is basically the main goal is pleasure. You want to have pleasure is the goal of life. That is the principal goal to do any action. So that is hedonism. So while as a Vaishnava we are trying to not get into sense gratification, hedonism is basically to indulge in self gratification. Okay, so Buddhism basically advocates non-violence. And how does it, what do they practice? What do they illustrate in their life that shows their strong advocation for non-violence? What is the kind of life they are living to preach non-violence? Hare Krishna.
किसी भी जीव की हिंसा नहीं करनी चाहिए, उनका वो ध्येय था. बुद्धिज्म जो फॉलो करते थे.
Ahimsa is the main thing. Okay, and it should be part of the way of life, non-violence.
Yeah.
And how they were, yes, Mataji said little that
even they avoided, monks avoided tilling soil to prevent harm to insects.
Yeah.
So
even
they were
insects
very much committed to ahimsa.
Correct. Yes,
Actually,
correct. Thank you.
They wanted to get the path to get nirvana, and for this they aim to guide individuals from materialistic pursuits.
Yeah, the path that they were following is nirvana. Nirvana is to get rid of the human sufferings. Okay. So now we come to the very important part, that is the Four Noble Truths. What was their philosophy based on these Four Noble Truths? What are these Four Noble Truths?
Dukkha means suffering. It is a part of life. And the more you become modern situation, whatever you use, the gadgets or whatever it is, you go behind it, the pressure remains, and stress and exhaustion, tiredness and all. But so dukkha should be they are pushed away. Whatever we have current bridge, there should be a bridge between insights and challenges.
Okay.
And
So they are saying that dukkha is an inherent part of life. It is inevitable. Human life
part of
will
life.
have
Part of life.
yeah, human life will have suffering. Okay, then what is the cause of this dukkha?
So by understanding dukkha, you should be away from such experiences or whatever. Whatever there is a problem, so we can bridge. They can bridge ancient insights into current challenges with current.
Correct, Mataji. So the first truth is that suffering is there, dukkha is there. It cannot be avoided. What is the cause? The second truth is, what is the cause of this dukkha?
Desire.
Desire. Correct.
Desire.
Desire and attachment is
Yeah.
the cause of dukkha. That
Cause
is
of
in
the
this.
Desires
Then,
were that was the main preaching of Buddha. That desires are
What
the
is-
root cause. Okay.
What is the technical name for that second reason?
samudaya.
Samudaya. You need to remember all these 4 names, okay?
Yeah. Dukkha. Yes, Prabhuji. So the first noble truth is dukkha, that is suffering. Second is the desire is the root cause, which is samudaya. Then we come to nirodha. What are they? What are they suggesting? That is suffering can be get rid of,
can be removed. We can
can be
remove the
removed.
suffering. Yeah.
And that assertion is nirodha. And what is the way to that? Marga.
Marga.
Ethical living and meditation.
Ethical living and meditation.
Meditation.
Okay. So are they are they preaching Vedic authority, or are they rejecting Vedic authority?
They are rejecting the Vedic authority.
They're straight away rejecting Vedic authority.
Straight
Why?
away, yeah.
They are mostly focused on observable experiences. Anuman, Praman.
Yeah. They are rejecting Vedic authority. They are more in favor of empirical approach focused on observable experiences. What is empirical approach?
जो सिचुएशन वो हालत कभी थे, जब भी बुद्ध जी आए थे तभी वो हालत बहुत ही खराब था, क्योंकि हिंसा बहुत हो रही थी, एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस बहुत हो रहा था, तो उनको रोकने के लिए उन्होंने जो वो सिचुएशन को हैंडल करना था, दिस इज कॉल्ड एम्पिरिकल अप्रोच। तभी वो उन्हें वो सोच के लिया कि अहिंसा कैसे बढ़ाया जाए।
Okay, fine. Agreed, Mataji. Empirical approach is basically based on practical experience and experiments. It is not based on ideas. Yeah. So they completely rejected Vedic authority, which was based on certain ideas, but they rather focused on experiences, or what was going on based on experience, how they could remove the sufferings. Okay, who was this particular philosophy attracting? Who all were getting attracted to this philosophy? Shunyavadi philosophy. Atheists were getting attracted. Atheists were getting attracted to this philosophy. Why?
Because they did not believe in the complexities of Vedic rituals. So without engaging in that, so they were promoted to moral living, like that.
Yeah. People who wanted moral living, like who they were getting attracted, but these were not believers of Lord, they were atheists. Okay, then let us come to the concept of nirvana. Basically, the liberation. Nirvana is thought of basically getting rid of suffering. That is nirvana. There are 2 types of nirvana. Can anybody highlight that?
Transitory and the final nirvana. So transitory is in between before it reaches the final nirvana.
Yeah. Getting rid of the in transitory nirvana, what is the physical existence persists, but you get rid of the suffering. In final nirvana, you get rid of the cycle of suffering.
So Jivan Mukta
Okay.
is right in this life. Jivan Mukta is the what called transitory nirvana and temporary.
Yeah.
In our also we have this Jivan Mukta, right?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. The liberated souls.
Yeah. So what
Okay,
it
then-
means actually, Jivan Mukta, what it means that by following this particular procedure, you are not under the influence of the modes of material nature, basically.
I mean, so
only
already
when-
liberated, but still living in this world.
So you still have a material body, but you have transgressed the influence of the modes of material nature, you know. So after this body is over, then what called the final nirvana, they say. So no more the cycle of samsara, no more repeated birth, death, what they're saying that.
So when you're Jivan Mukta, they are existing, but they are not suffering. Can say.
Yeah.
And in the final nirvana, they actually get rid of, like, there is no more life. Like, they are not existing. And also they are finally got rid of the suffering. Okay, then we come to Lord Buddha. We know that he appeared in Kali Yuga. He was the son of Anjana. He came in the province of Gaya. And the reason why he appeared was he wanted to slow down this mad ongoing prevalence of animal killing that was happening in the name of religion. And hence his philosophy was attracting atheists and all the types of people who wanted to practice moral living. Okay, so this was the fundamentals of when Lord Buddha appeared, what was his aim, and what is their philosophy all about. Now we come to the second, wherein we compare this particular Shunyavadi philosophy to Vaishnava philosophy. So the first point is theistic versus non-theistic approach. What is Vaishnava philosophy based on, and what is Buddhism doing? How do we compare this? One is theistic and one is non-theistic.
So Vaishnava philosophy is about first God as a person, which is Vishnu, with all the clear details of Krishna. He is the center, and the other ones, yeah.
Yes, Sanjay Prabhuji, continue.
Yeah. And then Buddhism, they reject the idea of the God, and they emphasize that individual enlightenment and the term we use empirical understanding. That is the key. So they reject the idea of God as a controller or even its existence.
Yeah. So they outrightly reject the concept of creator, and they follow their own procedure which is based on present what is going on and how to get rid of it, like basic simple solutions to the present day problem. But Vaishnavism is to achieve the highest goal of life, which is beyond the material world, which is connecting to the transcendental nature of the Lord and establishing a relationship. And basic goal is to attain pure love of Lord Krishna. So that's how it is different. Now, the understanding of Atman is also different in these two philosophies. How does what is the concept of Atman in Vaishnavism, and what do Buddhism teach about Atman? So, yes, Rajkumari Mataji.
In Vaishnava philosophy, there is a relationship between Atman and Paramatman.
Paramatman, yeah, self and higher self.
Yes, and in Buddhism philosophy, there is Anand, no self is there. Anand and this
Anatta is there, which means no self.
No self.
So they deny the very concept of soul, because we know that our real identity is Atma, right? Atman's soul.
Yeah.
They reject that.
Yeah. We say that
Denying the very
Atma is, yeah.
denying the very concept of Atman, a self. There is no self like any being. What that is, that's exactly Shunyavadi, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So we go ahead. The path of liberation is according to Vaishnavism. What is the path of liberation? And according to Buddhism? Buddhism focuses like to stop suffering. That is the goal, to get rid of suffering. What about Vaishnavism? What is our path of liberation?
Devotional service.
Devotional service is the main to achieve spiritual perfection. Thank you, Mataji. Then we come to spiritual authority. We believe in Vedas. Vaishnavism believes in Vedas, Vedic authority, and Buddhism rejects Vedic authority outrightly. They have developed their own. They have their own framework, which is based on morality, ahimsa, and understanding spirituality. Okay, so we last point is nature of liberation. How is our nature of liberation or nature of liberation of a Vaishnava compared to Nirvana? Do they have any Shastra? Do they refer to any book or something? Yes, people who have not answered till now.
Mataji,
Radha
can you
Vinod
repeat the
Prabhu.
question?
Yeah. What is the nature of liberation in Vaishnavism and Buddhism? The fifth point, Mataji. Do they have any Shastra? Do they believe, do they have any book that they are following?
Yes, Mataji. In devotional service, there is a eternal relation with the Lord, and there is a lot of bliss, Anand,
Okay,
complete
yes.
Anand. And in Nirvana, they get the liberation from the suffering, but
Yes.
still it is a temporary. क्योंकि वापस उनको
Yeah.
सफरिंग आने वाला है, ऐसा नहीं कि ये खत्म हुआ वापस होगा. और उनका जो विकिपीडिया है इतिवुत्था,
Yeah. There is
पाली,
this
इन द
particular,
पाली, वो
yeah,
फॉलो करते वो.
there is this Buddhist scripture that they follow, which describes Nirvana and how like Nirvana is basically getting rid of suffering. So all about Nirvana is there in this particular Buddhist scripture called Itivuktuka. Okay, so this was the basic difference between the Vaishnavism and Buddhism. Now we come to the third part of this particular philosophy, wherein the reasons of rejecting the Vedic teachings. Why Lord Buddha, although he was an avatara of Lord Vishnu, rejected Vedic teachings? With the reasons why they had Lord Buddha did that. So first is, let us see this in thematic points. The first was focus on empirical experience. Now, Buddha's, what was his philosophy directly? Like it was based on experience and observation. But what was the focus of this particular philosophy?
To address the human suffering and provide practical solution that everyone can. He's like mostly focus in the current moment, stay in the current moment,
Correct.
and observe.
So it was actually aimed to address human suffering and to change like the prevalent culture, the prevalent ritualistic culture that was happening, to stop that. Okay, then critic, we come to like they were what according to them was superstitions, and what ethics they were following, what they considered as superstitions.
Rituals and sacrifices.
Yeah,
They viewed
they
as
considered
superstitious. Yeah.
they
So
had
that
to
was not
oppose that.
necessary for spiritual progress.
Correct. They had to oppose that in order to establish peace. And what did they emphasize on? Ethics. What was the priority of this culture?
Yeah,
Buddhism
ethical
culture.
Ethical conduct.
moral living.
Moral living. They argued that rituals could be misleading and people were misusing. Actually, that time people were misusing it. So in a way, he was not wrong. Okay, then we come to the third point, suffering as central of existence. Their basic goal was to get rid of suffering, as they understood that suffering is the central part of human life. And it sprouted from desire. So they were like, cut down your desires. So Shunyavadi philosophy. Okay, no to everything and living a very simple life without harming. This was their way of living. Okay, so this particular point is also covered. Let's come to the fourth point, anatta, no self. Prabhuji explained just now that they rejected the concept of Atma. Atma, like, what is Atma and why did they reject it? What is soul? What is, can we go into this, Hare Krishna? Soul
Atma
is
means
there,
the
which
spirit
is
soul, or
the
वो
spirit
part
soul.
and parcel of Lord.
Yeah, and it is eternal.
Eternal. Yes, mother.
But here what they are saying? No soul. That means no eternality. Like they are saying that existence is temporary. Like it changes. Okay. So this is their concept of Atma. Basically, they are
Actually, they
focusing on
challenged Krishna's teaching in Bhagavad Gita. So
yeah.
they did not believe at all.
Yeah. So
But
Lord
Mataji,
Buddha,
here we see the clear difference because their main function to remove the dukha. And Bhagavad Gita में भगवान कहते दुखालय मा शाश्वतम.
yeah.
So it is connected only, मगर in different way.
Yes. Lord Buddha, although is an avatar of Lord Krishna, what he advocated in Bhagavad Gita, and here he is saying no self, because they want to focus on impermanence. Like if they focus on permanence, then the whole philosophy changes. So they wanted to focus on impermanence of life, and they are saying that, suffering is temporary and you can get rid of it. So you have to follow this particular lifestyle to get rid of this suffering, so that they could establish a more peaceful society, which was less of animal killing and less of that havoc that they were creating on the name of religion. Okay, then we come to the fifth point, dissatisfaction with theistic framework. What was God roles in Buddhism? Is there any role of God in Buddhism?
No.
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 No God.
Yeah.
No
No
creator.
God. No,
No
no
God.
creator.
Sambandha.
Because he is completely atheism, Sunyavadam, there is no God.
Because there is no God, it is a non-theistic or it is an atheistic philosophy.
So there is
And
no
if
God, no self, and nothing of that kind. After this life is over, everything is shunya.
yeah. So their name suggests their
Eh,
name
And
just
even
No
testings
Vedas,
to their
nothing.
individuals had to seek their own path for enlightenment,
correct.
not
They correct, Mataji. They believed in self-reliance. They have to seek their path to enlightenment to get rid of the suffering. Okay, then we come to the inclusivity and accessibility. What is the universal appeal? What is the appeal of Lord Buddha's teaching? And
it is accessible to everyone,
without any caste or
regard of
creed.
caste or social status.
Yes, accessible to everyone. Hence, it was attracting lot of atheist people who didn't want to follow a Vedic philosophy, didn't want to get into the complexities of religion and all that. Okay, so let's come to the last point, moral and
Mataji,
ethical
in current situation, there is more and more Buddhism is बहुत
Yes,
जगह
it
पे
is.
मतलब पूरे देशों के
अभी
देश
चल पड़ा है.
Buddhism is. Yes, Mataji.
Because the suffering is more, no? So hence they are concentrating on the temporary solution, like because the suffering is more, how to get rid of it. So it will, Kali Yuga, definitely it will be a very, even in our circles, like in Bombay also, Buddhism is approaching. Like I have seen so many people who are practicing Buddhism because of this particular thing of non-violence and approaching peace. Like they want to meditate and all that because the stress is increased in day-to-day life. Okay, so they believe in ethical living. Their approach is based on compassion, uh, non-violence, very moral, uh, not harming anyone, basically based on compassion. Okay, so this is how it is like how why it rejected the Vedic teachings. Now we come that last part is Buddhism is an atheistic philosophy, and we will see the reason to that. The first is absence of creator. There is no God, so that makes it. And so then, if not God, then how do they explain their? They say there is no creator. So then what is it based on?
Teaching is universe is
They
controlled
said
by
that,
laws.
this universe is governed by the natural laws only.
Okay.
There is,
Yeah.
and
Correct. Sunny
these
Prabhuji.
are all our the effects of our karma.
Yes, correct, Mataji.
Suffering, the cause of suffering and their effect, that is karma.
Yeah. Correct, Mataji.
Yes,
Thank
same
you.
thing, Mataji, same.
The point is
Yeah,
they
okay.
believe in karma, but who is giving that karma is not there.
Correct.
The source is missing, the root is missing.
Yeah. Same as we saw in Jainism. Same thing. Source was missing. Okay, then focus on enlightenment. Their enlightenment is called what?
Nirvana.
Nirvana. Nirvana is what?
It's from suffering and cycle of rebirth and this samsara.
Correct. Thank you, Mataji. So this is their focus of enlightenment. Okay, then we come to the role of Lord Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. So is he a god? Where people taking him as like following him as their god or something?
No, not as a
No.
god, but as an enlightened teacher who discovers the path of liberation to others.
Yes, correct.
Only as a guide.
Only as a guide.
No,
And what is
not a
that referred to? What comparison is done to the teacher? Like
to a
what comparison
raft used to cross a
Yes,
river.
perfect.
Once the river is crossed,
So
the raft is no longer needed.
thank you, Mataji. Wonderful. Then we come to the fourth point: emphasis on personal responsibility. So obviously, when there is no God, they believe in karma. You do good, you get good. You do bad, you good. So there will be personal responsibility. Anybody wants to highlight that? How did they practice personal responsibility? Like what were
self-discipline,
okay,
understand noble truths and that eightfold path, and
correct.
emphasis on personal responsibility for one's actions and its consequences. And yes, for that living, so as to improvise, is to follow. They used to concentrate on mindfulness and
Yes.
meditate so as to achieve nirvana.
Yeah. They meditated because their mind should become clear and they should be focused on the goal. And also it uh, encouraged self-discipline. Meditation helps to make one self-discipline, so that they should be focused on their goal. Then we come to the fifth point: non-theistic practices.
Focused on, Mataji, one point more. They focused on vegetarian,
Yes.
vegetarian. So they that's why they did not believe the killing of any
Anytime.
animals. So that their approach was towards vegetation. They became vegetarian.
Yeah. Not just vegetarian, they were trying to even like avoid things like that would जिसको करने से ज्यादा नुकसान होता है वो भी they were avoiding, not just animal killing.
Tilling the soil,
Yeah,
जो
correct.
small जो उसमें worms हैं वो भी नहीं मरने चाहिए.
So they believed in non-violence to a great extent.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji, Rajkumari Mataji. Then non-theistic practices. So they focused on mindfulness, meditation. Nityasaki Mataji and Rajkumari Mataji already highlighted. And so we come to the 6-point diverse views on the deities. So did they had certain deities? Would they worship any deities on their path?
Yeah, some celestial being as deities is mentioned here, but they are not central to enlightenment.
Yeah. So they don't have like how in Vaishnavism to us, Lord Krishna is the central epitome of our devotional service. Although they had certain deities, but they were not just they were not being followed or worshipped to an extent, but their philosophy is what they followed. Okay, then rejection of the eternal Atma, we have already seen this. So the conclusion is how it is different from our Vaishnavism that we saw this particular thing in great detail. So this is what Prabhuji very nicely covered, lesson 3, Buddhism. Now today we will go ahead to the next philosophy. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, I am done with the recap.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much, and thank all the devotees for participating in the discussion. Now we'll carry it forward.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, you were saying something? Okay. We have seen the preliminaries. That is, we have seen what Buddhism was, and today we'll see Adi Shankaracharya's philosophy, that is Keval Advaita, Vedanta, that is non-dualism, or which is in very brief known as Mayavada philosophy. Now let us try to understand what these people are saying, and let us understand if Shankaracharya was a Mayavadi or his followers, they taught this principle. Now, in 3 stages, we will learn this, the fundamentals, the philosophical foundations of this Keval Advaita philosophy, then the historical context, nature of reality, the concept of Maya, spiritual practice, renunciation versus devotion, devotional service, and final teachings. We will see each one of them in greater detail. Then in next section, we'll see refutation of Buddha's Sunyavada philosophy. Sunyavada philosophy we learned in very great detail, and we saw today also. In that, we'll see the existence versus non-existence, the nature of divinity, the path to liberation, and restoration of Vedic understanding. And in the last part, we'll see the critique of Mayavada philosophy, the misinterpretation of Brahman, what the Vaishnavas do, how they describe, and how the Mayavadis they describe Brahman. Then the denial of individuality, illusion and reality, all these things we'll see in greater detail. That's why I am not covering now. Then worship and devotion, philosophical contradictions, misinterpretation of scriptures, how Shankaracharya and his followers, they misinterpreted the scriptures, or they partly quoted from the scriptures and explained on them. And more of this also we'll see the examples while we do the Govinda Bhasya. And the final teachings and intentions. And before we start, let me give a brief on this philosophy. before we go on to the next slides, so that it is understood in the correct perspective. Now, as we learned and revised also today, the foundations which were laid by Buddha created the conditions for appearance of Shankaracharya, and Shankaracharya introduced the next step on the spiritual stairway. Now, this philosophy which Lord Buddha taught, as we know, it is known as Sunyavada, while the philosophy of Shankaracharya is known as Advaita Vedanta or non-dualism. And in essence, both philosophies are quite similar. Basically, Buddhism says that absolute truth is zero or a complete void, where one can find the absence of suffering. But what Shankaracharya is saying, he is saying that the absolute truth is one, it is impersonal, it is undifferentiated, and it has no qualities. It is qualityless, impersonal Brahman, where one can find the end of the various illusory designations of this material world and realize one's existence as independent from matter. Now, philosophically, there is a little difference in their conclusions, but the Advaita Vedanta, the main characteristic is that it is based on the Vedas, whereas Buddha's philosophy, they reject the Vedas. This is a very major difference. And this, by basing his philosophy on Advaita Vedanta on the Vedic literature, Vedas, this opened the door for re-establishment of the Brahminical culture and allowed the different Vaishnava acharyas who came later on to gradually rebuild the correct conclusions of the scriptures by adding the topics that Shankaracharya avoided. Now, Shankaracharya, he appeared in the 8th century, about 1300 years after Buddha came. And at that time, Buddhism had become the prevalent philosophy in India, and the followers of the Vedas were still mostly ritualistic karmakandis with little understanding of the real purpose of the Vedic literature. And therefore, Shankaracharya is an incarnation of Lord Shiva. His mission was to re-establish the authority of the Vedas by teaching a philosophy that was similar to Buddhism, but based on the Vedas, especially the Vedanta Sutra. With this, the philosophers in India, they returned to the study of the Vedas, which opened the doors for other acharyas to gradually establish the real goal of the scriptures. And as you know, the advent of Shankaracharya is as an incarnation of Lord Shiva, has been foretold in Padma Purana. It says that in the age of Kali, Lord Shiva is saying, I take the form of a Brahmana and explain the Vedas through false scriptures in an atheistic way similar to Buddhist philosophy. This is given in the Padma Purana. Now let us see what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. We have studied Jaiva Dharma. I'll quote something from Jaiva Dharma, say something what we have already learned in our course. Now, there, as you remember, the Paramahamsa Premadas Babaji, he was talking about Shankaracharya. He said that always remember that Shankaracharya is the spiritual preceptor of all the Vaishnavanam Yatha Sambhu. And for this reason, Sri Chaitanya has acclaimed him as an Acharya. Sri Shankaracharya is a perfect Vaishnava. We should have no doubt about it. And we also learned why he taught a different thing than what is given in the Vedas. Now, at the time of his appearance, India urgently required a Guna Avatara, an incarnation who presides over the material nature, because of this spread of voidistic philosophy, Sunyavada philosophy of Buddhism had caused India to practically give up the cultivation of study of Vedas, as well as the practice of Vaishnava Dharma, the Vedic social system. And Buddhism, which is known as Sunyavada, directly denies the existence of personal God, and although hinting at the principle of Jivatma, the eternal spirit soul, Buddhism remains in essence Anitya Dharma. In those days, the Brahmanas had all but forsaken the Vedic religion and converted to Buddhism. And at that moment, Lord Shiva appeared as Shankaracharya and reinstated the pristine glory of the Vedas by transforming Voidism or Sunyavada into monistic Brahmanism. Now, this was a spectacular achievement for which India will always remain indebted to Sri Shankaracharya. And the Shankaracharya's teachings basically we'll come to know more of it when we study Govinda Bhasya, the various aphorisms like Pragyanam Brahma, Ayam Brahmam, Ayam Atma Brahma, Tattvam Asi, Aham Brahmasmi, like that. What they meant. Basically, Mayavadis interpret the whole Vedic literature from the prism that everything is Brahman and we are also that Brahman. But what does Brahman mean? Brahman means the biggest. Nothing is bigger or greater than him. And the Mahavakyas, what I told you, they are general instructions of the scriptures and they are not incorrect at all. But they have been interpreted very, very differently by the Mayavadis. They try to overemphasize these instructions, discarding the or misinterpreting the many statements. They describe the other aspects. And this philosophy of Shankaracharya, that is known as Hariraka Bhasya. Now, this commentary on Vedanta Sutra became hugely popular, and according to him, Brahman is the supreme reality beyond the reach of the senses, and Brahman is eternal, formless, and unchanging. And certain various other things about their teachings. The core teaching is Brahman is the absolute pure consciousness, is the only truth, and the world is ultimately illusion. And the refutation of dualism and pluralism, he refutes the dualistic and Visishta Advaita philosophies. And the role of knowledge or jnana versus rituals, Shankaracharya strongly emphasizes that liberation or moksha is attained through self-knowledge, jnana, not rituals or actions, and that is karma. While he acknowledges the role of karma yoga in purifying the mind, he insists that ultimate realization comes only through direct knowledge of the self. And about illusion of the world, Shankar introduces the concept of Maya, the power of illusion, which makes one indivisible Brahman. Once Maya is removed, then the individual realizes that there is no difference between him and the Supreme Lord. These are various wrong things which have been taught by him, and this brings us to the Mayavadi ideas that they were later contested by various Vaishnava acharyas, starting with Ramanujacharya. That what were the main points of refutation? God has no form and no activities. We are all God. Once the veil of Maya is removed, we can become one. And even though Mayavadis phrase it in a different way, the practical conclusion of their philosophy is that Maya is greater than Brahman. Maya is greater than the Supreme Lord. That's what they are saying, because Maya is able to affect the Supreme Lord. And Krishna and all his incarnations, except material forms, they say when Krishna had come 5,000 years back, it was his material form. That's what they say. That's why, according to Shankaracharya, Brahman is never transformed, and therefore the material world is mithya, illusion, appearance of reality. The question of where this illusion or Maya comes from, that they are not answering. Actually, the main answer lies in that which they are not answering. And there are various aspects of Mayavada philosophy that we will be learning today and also in our subsequent classes. Go to the next slide, the fundamental philosophical foundations, the philosophical landscape of Kevala Advaitavada, contrasting with Buddhist, what is the Buddhist? Sunyavada. Thought revolve around two key concepts, Sunyavada, nothingness, and Brahman. Now, Buddhism, Sunyavada philosophy, it advocates that the absolute truth is a void or there is nothing. And in that stage, if one reaches, there is no suffering at all. We saw in our previous class also. But Adi Shankaracharya, what he is saying Kevala, that is absolute Advaita Vada, absolute Advaita Vedanta philosophy. It asserts that the absolute truth is the undifferentiated, Nirguna. That means it does not have any qualities. And Nirakara, it doesn't have any form also. Brahman, the ultimate reality that transcends material existence. Brahman is seen as an unchanging consciousness, offering a distinct perspective opposed to the Buddhist notion of emptiness. Now you saw how they are little similar. Now, why this was meant like that? Because just to attract the people. And what was the effect after Shankaracharya left during that time? Then almost everybody they converted from Buddhism to the Sanatan Dharma. And that was a great achievement. And thereafter, various acharyas they refined this philosophy, and it became the Vaishnava philosophy. Go to the next slide. Adi Shankaracharya's role, historical context, why Sunyavada and Advaitavada philosophies they mattered at that point of time. It was required at that point of time. That's why Adi Shankaracharya he came, emerged in the 8th century to counter the dominance of Buddhism in India and to restore the Vedic authority. As we said, Buddhism, it does not recognize the Vedic literature, the Vedas as the authority. And what happened after Lord Buddha had preached his Sunyavada philosophy, now almost everybody they converted to Buddhism. And there was no Vedic authority prevalent at the time when Shankaracharya he came. That's why his responsibility as the number one Vaishnavanang Yatha Sambhu, his responsibility was to reclaim those people. A notable episode highlighting this revival was his debate at the court of Mandan Mishra. Mandan Mishra was a great scholar at that time. If there is time at the end, I will tell you certain more things about Mandan Mishra's his argument with Shankaracharya, which I studied almost 50 years back, and that is very interesting, which many of you won't be knowing. At the court of Mandan Mishra, and at the end, what happened? Mandan Mishra was defeated, but his wife said, "How can you defeat my husband unless you defeat me also?" Then she also argued, and for that, certain other things happened. I will tell you at that time, not now. Then what happened? And remember, then Mandan Mishra became his first disciple and the most famous disciple, and he carried forward after him. And one of the most renowned scholars and proponents of revival of school of philosophy, legend has it that the debate, which lasted for several days, actually not several days, but several months also, in some other literature it is given, was so intellectually profound that it was witnessed by Saraswati Devi itself, the goddess of learning. And Mandan Mishra had a blessing from Saraswati Devi, and some say that his wife was an incarnation of Saraswati Devi. And that's why at the end she wanted to argue with Shankaracharya, and we'll see that interesting part at the end. And upon Shankara's victory, Mandan Mishra became his disciple, symbolizing the triumph of Vedic thought over prevailing versions of Buddhist philosophy of the time. Mandan Mishra became his disciple. He left the Vaidistic Buddhist philosophy and he started following Shankaracharya, the Vedic role. Then the Vedic revival, his teachings emphasized the importance of the Vedas. That's why he had come, because he is an incarnation of Lord Shiva himself, opening the way for future Vaishnava Sampradayas, as I said, starting with Sri Sampradaya, then Madhava Sampradaya, like this, and the philosophy was refined further, and we'll be studying about them in very great detail in our subsequent classes also. The nature of reality, Buddhism's non-essentialism. Buddhism denies the existence of personal God. There is no God there. They do not worship any God. There is nothing of that. And holds that reality is transient and ever changing. The reality is changing, it is not constant. And Advaitavadi's monoism claims Brahman is the ultimate reality, and individual Jivatmans are manifestations of the same reality, but they are covered by illusion or Maya. And once Maya is removed from them, then they will realize that they are God themselves. This is what is totally wrong, but that was taught at that point of time for a particular region. Now, the concept of Maya, what Shankaracharya was trying to teach. The material world is an illusion. What he said is aphorism, Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. This world is totally illusion. But what the Vaishnavas say, it is not an illusion, it is real, but it is temporary. It comes and goes. That's what is the difference. The material world is an illusion akin to how a dream blurs the lines between reality and perception. Like you would have seen in a dream, somebody has his head has been cut, but he's still running. Something like that. There are many things which are not actually real and which are not logical. He says illusion is like that. And in the same way, mirages reveal the presence of water where there is none. Like you would have seen mirages not only in the deserts, but even in plain roads also, or in plain ground. In summer season, suppose you are going in a vehicle with some speed, then you will see water on the road. And once you reach that place, you will say there is no water like this. And it is very, very common feature in the deserts. If any one of you have gone to the deserts or stayed there, I have stayed quite some time in the deserts also and know this very well. And in semi-darkness, this is another thing which we have been taught. In semi-darkness, one perceives a dangling rope as a snake. And Maya veils the true nature of Brahman and hints at its presence. True understanding comes from recognizing the oneness with Brahman. Oneness means we are also Brahman. That is what they say. Much like waking up from a dream to encompassing reality that transcends illusion. This is what Adi Shankaracharya, his philosophy is. And what is the critique of this Mayavada philosophy? He emphasizes that this illusion does not negate the existence of Brahman. In contrast to Buddhism's denial of ultimate reality. In Buddhism, they are denying the existence of ultimate reality. But what is true? here Shankaracharya is emphasizing that this illusion does not negate the existence of Brahman. Brahman is still there, even if illusion or Maya is covering the jiva. Then the spiritual practice, renunciation versus devotion, while Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya did emphasize impersonalism and renunciation, his later teachings pointed towards devotion to Lord Krishna as the ultimate path to liberation. And the very famous um, song is Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate. That is the Moha Mudgara. There, another very famous verse in that verse in that is in Moha Mudgara. There are 33 verses. Out of that, 12 have been written by Shankaracharya and the balance by his disciples. And one of the very important verses which we keep on citing or giving examples is Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jathare Swayanam, Yah Sansare Bahu Dustare, Krupaya Pyare, Pahi Murare. Means birth again and death again, again resting in the mother's womb. It is indeed hard to cross this boundless ocean of samsara, that is the cycle of repeated birth and death. O Murari, by your causeless mercy, please protect me from this transmigratory process. And if somebody is saying this in so many verses, how can not be a devotee? Actually, he is a devotee, he is the number one devotee. Vaishnavanam Yathasambhu. But for a reason, he taught this philosophy because of spread of Buddhism at that time. And his final teachings, emphasis on devotion. In his later works, he stressed the importance of worship and devotion over intellectual pursuits, highlighting that true liberation comes from surrender to Krishna. What we are talking about yesterday, Saranagati, we should be totally surrendered to the Supreme Lord, Krishna or Vishnu or Narayana, whomsoever it is. And then we will be able to realize him. This is what Adi Shankaracharya toward the end he taught. But what happened after him, his disciples, they misinterpreted the whole thing and they are teaching the Mayavada philosophy till today. And they do not know the difference actually. That is what is the biggest surprise. A refutation of Buddha's Sunyavada philosophy, existence versus non-existence. Now, to appreciate Shankaracharya's refutation of the notion of absolute void, which was given by the Sunyavada philosophy of the Buddhists, it is important to understand the historical context of Sunyavada, originating with the figures such as Nagarjuna in the 2nd century. He is from the Buddhist tradition. Sunyavada emerged as a philosophical stance within Buddhism that holds reality to be fundamentally empty. There is no reality at all. That's what they tried to say, challenging the prevailing metaphysical concepts of existence. Adi Shankaracharya counters this by establishing that Brahman exists as the ultimate reality. Brahman is the ultimate, the Supreme Lord is the ultimate. In contrast to Buddhism's claim that reality is non-existence. Buddhism says that there is no reality. But Shankaracharya is saying that the Brahman of the ultimate reality is there. That is the difference. He asserts that reality is one and that the perception of multiplicity arises from illusion. That is Dvaitavada and others. They arise because of illusion. When that illusion is totally removed, then one realizes that we are the same Supreme Lord. We are the Brahman. That is what Adi Shankaracharya is saying, and that we know is known to be wrong. And the nature of divinity, While Buddhism denies God's existence, they do not believe in any system of God, in any deity. There is no worship like this. But in Buddhist monasteries, you will see the deity, the Buddha's effigy in the deity form is kept there, and that is what is worshipped. Adi Shankaracharya maintains that Brahman, although formless and beyond attributes, what basically he says, he is formless, he has no form at all. Is it correct? Yes, that is also correct. The God is both formless and with form. That is what is the correct thing. But Shankaracharya is saying he is formless and beyond attributes. He does not have any attributes. He does not have any qualities like uh, empathy, kindness, you take up talk of any attribute, the Lord is not having that. And if they are trying to describe a Lord who does not have any form, who cannot, who does not have any attributes, then why should we and how should we approach him? Because he is a totally useless concept, and it is still the source of Paramatman and Bhagavan. That's what he is saying. He knows that God is there, he knows everything, he knows the Vaishnava philosophy, but this was the requirement at that point of time. That's why he is teaching these little wrong things. And here a personal God refers to a deity with personal attributes and a relatable form, in contrast to the concept of the formless Brahman, which represents an impersonal, abstract, ultimate reality. Basically, Shankaracharya's philosophy, we are saying impersonal because the Lord is not a person. He does not have any qualities, any form, and anything like that. And this stance contradicts the nihilistic, that is the Buddhist view that rejects the existence of the divinity per se. They reject the existence of Supreme Lord or the existence of divinity per se, they do not accept. But Shankaracharya is accepting that there is a Supreme Lord, there is a Supreme God as per our Vedas, Vedic literature, but he is formless, qualityless like this. This is what is there. Now, Buddhism philosophy that denies the existence of genuine moral truths and asserts the ultimate meaninglessness of life of the universe. Okay, let us go to the next slide. Point number 3, the path to liberation. Both Buddhism and the Vedic tradition emphasize renunciation as a crucial step in the spiritual journey. Now, the Vaishnavas, they also talk about renunciation. Now, in Buddhism, this involves letting go of personal desires. We spoke today also, if we do not have any personal desires, to cultivate compassion and detachment from the material world and aim at enlightenment, that is what is the ultimate aim. This is what the Buddhists say. Similarly, the Vedic tradition also values renunciation but directs it towards fostering devotion to the personal God. There is a personal God with whom we can interact, and we should have love for him, and that is what is told by Srila Prabhupada as loving devotional service. And we are talking about loving devotional service to a personal God, not an impersonal entity who does not exist or nobody knows what is the shape and size of it. As alluded earlier, Adi Shankaracharya's later teachings did suggest emphatically that intellectual understanding alone is insufficient for liberation. What the Buddhists are saying, if you understand it intellectually, then you will get it, you will be liberated. But Shankaracharya at the end, he said that this is insufficient, this is not enough. Instead, a heartfelt devotion to the divine is essential. you should be doing devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and then you'll be totally liberated. And by acknowledging these shared elements, a more holistic understanding of their distinct spiritual aim can be achieved. Now, you would have realized this is the very great achievement beyond Buddhism. After Buddhism came the monastic philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya. It was a great improvement over him, because on each and every point he is trying to say something which can be understood by people, rather than saying something which is given directly in the Vedas. Somewhere he is misinterpreting the Vedic literature, and that was what was picked up by his disciples, rather than understanding what he told toward the end of his teaching. And restoration of Vedic understanding by reaffirming the authority of the Vedas, by accepting that the Vedic authorities are the real authority, and integrating elements of Buddhism, Buddhist thought into the framework that acknowledges the personal nature of the divine. Adi Shankaracharya effectively bridges the gap between the two philosophies, encouraging a return to Vedic teachings and practices. Now, because of this understanding, people who were following Buddhism at that point of time, they started coming toward Shankaracharya, and more people came, and at a point of time, this whole of India almost got devoid of the Buddhists, though some Buddhists they are to be found here and there, especially in the northeastern region, but much more you will find in the beyond India Indian borders. And in conclusion, Adi Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta philosophy provides a structured response to Buddha's Sunyavada by upholding the existence of the ultimate reality, Brahman, and establishing the authority of the Vedas, ultimately paving the way for the development of theistic traditions in India. And thereafter, the other Vaishnava acharyas, they came one after the other, and they improved upon this philosophy, and that became a complete philosophy which we are following in the Vaishnava tradition. Let us go to the next slide. Okay, now we'll have a 1 or 2 minutes break, and in that you can ask any doubts or questions or your comments. And today, if you have realized, Lalit Priya Mataji has joined today after a long time.
How is she feeling now? How is she feeling?
She was actually, she had a lot of issues, but must be all right, almost all right now. I was in contact with her some time back. We'll ask her. Lalit Priya Mataji, how are you now?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. Getting better, it will take another few months, like 6 to 8 months. But energy level is not that great. So I'll be joining on and off. So please forgive me for that.
First you take care of yourself, okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I've been watching the classes on YouTube because I didn't want to disturb on coming on Zoom and then dropping off. So I was watching it on YouTube. Sanjay Prabhuji used to post the link for the YouTube. So I've been watching the classes on and off, Prabhuji.
You are always welcome, but you need to take a rest. You know.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Because we want you to get soon really very well, you know. We are all, really we're praying.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Everything will work out all right. Everything will work out fine.
Welcome back, Lalita Mataji. Dandat pranam.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Dandat
Good to hear your voice,
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's all your
we missed you, Mataji.
prayer. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
So you're
Hare
back
Krishna,
home now,
Vaidravya
Mataji?
Mataji.
Get well
Welcome
soon,
back. Thank you
Mataji.
so much for your coming back. We really missed you.
Thank you so
You're
much. I
you're
came back
back
on the
home?
15th of January, Prabhuji,
Okay.
from
Okay.
Chennai. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Mataji. Wish you quick recovery.
Thank you so very much, all of you. Thank you so much. All your prayers have helped me a lot and brought me this far with a lot of issues. But thank you so very much.
Thank
Good.
you,
Thank you.
Mataji. Thank you very much. We pray to
Good to hear from you, Mataji.
we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for your early recovery. And as you were saying, you were seeing hearing from the recordings. That is perfectly all right. That is same as attending the classes. Okay. Anything about what we have spoken so far today?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I am just very curious to know about the debate between Mandan Mishra and Adi Shankaracharya. This is, I mean, yeah, you said you will explain later, but the context here was about the subject of debate was about Vedas, is it? Like the authority of
Yes.
Vedas.
I'll cover a little, but the most interesting part that is the debate between his wife and Shankaracharya, because Shankaracharya also couldn't answer her, and he took 1 month time. That interesting part I'll tell you at the end.
No,
That's a very interesting part. Okay. Very interesting part. She was very clever actually. She knew that Sakaracharya will have a hard time to answer that part.
Wonderful.
Please remember that Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, he became the sannyasi at the age of 8 years, and he left home at about 12 years of age. And this argument with Mandana Mishra was taking place when he was about 25 years of age. Okay, we'll see that at the end. We'll have time. There is no problem.
So overall, Prabhuji, so Buddhist, they reject the whole Vedas to avoid animal slaughter.
Yes.
And this is the new thing I hear today, where Shankaracharya, he is establishing the authority of Vedas, Keval Advaita, but that actually is leading the path gradually towards the other Vaishnava philosophers to come, and so that's a gradual elevation of the society, but it's a gradual entry point. So that's a very wonderful new point. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, that is the actual thing, because the Lord himself is planning. He is sending his representatives.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी मुझे एक पॉइंट ऐसा आया है मन में कि अगर डायरेक्ट बोलते कि भगवान है तो सब लोग नहीं मानते, तभी तो स्लोली ये प्रोसेस है कि ब्रह्मन है, फिर अगर जो मानेंगे तो फिर उसको बता सकते कि फिर ये परमात्मा भी है, तो फिर ऐसे ग्रेजुअली जा सकेंगे। डायरेक्ट अगर बोलते कि भगवान है तो वो कोई मानेगा नहीं, है ना प्रभु जी? तो वो सिचुएशन
now we'll see, as now we are coming into more and more. You see my latest slides with everything. Did you see that? The actual Upanishad verses that we'll be discussing, where it says clearly that Brahman is taking part like Paramatma and ultimately Bhagavan.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, let's Prabhuji continue step by step. Okay, let's not run ourselves too hard.
Yes. Please remember at this stage that Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, they exist simultaneously. Other things we'll see later on. Okay, the critique of Mayavada philosophy, the misinterpretation of Brahman, we'll see, the denial of individuality, illusion and reality, worship and devotion, devotional service. Then fifth is philosophical contradictions, the misinterpretation of scriptures, how it was done and why it was done, that we'll see. And the final teachings and intentions, we'll see one by one in greater detail. Now, qualityless what we said, Brahman is without any quality. Now the critic argues that Mayavadins, that is the followers of Adi Shankaracharya's impersonalism, claim that Brahman is formless and qualityless. It has no form and it has no quality at all, which undermines the Vedic understanding that Brahman possesses potencies and attributes. Now, more of it in much greater detail we will see in the Govinda Bhasya. In very brief, what it is, the Brahman is not qualityless. It has got qualities, but it does not have material qualities. It has got spiritual qualities. That is what is to be understood. And it has got attributes, the spiritual attributes. But Mayavadis, what they do, they take out certain portion of the verses and they interpret them to suit their impersonal philosophy. That is the Lord is impersonal and all that what we learned today. That is
Actually, its followers really twisted that. Whole philosophy was twisted his followers after Shankaracharya left,
yes, we'll see all those later on. And this understanding is supported by primary Upanishadic verses such as Svetasvatara 3.19, which describe Brahman as the source of all powers, and Taittiriya 2.5, which highlights its blissful nature, grounding this critique within a shared authoritative framework. Now, all these things in greater detail we will see in Govinda Bhasya lessons 4 and 5, which I will be covering. The examples of this 3:19 and 2:5, they are all given. How they have been misinterpreted by Adi Shankaracharya and his followers, so that will be given. But now, what is important to take on? The Vedic literature, it is telling something which is different from the Mayavadis, and what we are told in the Vaishnava tradition, they are given in the Vedic literature. But as we know, the Upanishadic literature, the language is so difficult to understand and so easy to misinterpret that Shankaracharya has taken advantage of that. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Now, one thing, okay, in a very brief, I'll just tell certain things about the Taittiriya Upanishad. The Adi Shankaracharya's teaching on Taittiriya Upanishad, it focuses on non-dual Advaita nature of Brahman. He explains that the Atman, or the individual self, and Brahman, the universal self, they are one and the same thing. That is why he is saying Advaita. And realizing this unity leads to liberation or moksha. And in his commentary, he clarifies the concept of Panchakosha, the 5 courses that all of you know, that at the end transcend knowledge. And the Svetasvatara Upanishad verse, the Brahman grasps without hands. It does not have hands, moves without feet, sees without eyes, hears without ears, and knows what is unknown, what is to be known. And thus, in order to distinguish the Lord's transcendental body from ordinary material bodies, some philosophers have explained him as being impersonal from the material point of view. And in other words, material personality is denied and spiritual personality is established. This is in very brief to be understood. And like I'll give you another example of what we have been talking, given in the Isopanishad, that very famous verse, 15 number verse, Hiranmayana Patrena. Oh my Lord, sustainer of all lives, your face is really covered by your dazzling effulgence. Please remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Now these impersonalists, they are not seeing what is beyond that, beyond that effulgence. Now, okay, let us see what is given in this slide. Loss of personality, personal identity. Now, Mayavadis posit that once the illusion of Maya is removed, individuality ceases to exist. That means individual becomes Brahman. He becomes the Supreme Lord. He becomes Bhagavan. Now, the critic refutes this by asserting that the Jivatman maintains their distinct identities even while being part of Brahman. They are part of the Brahman, like it is very, very clearly given in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vansa Jiva Loko Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasashta Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karsati. Now, Mamai Vansa, this means this individual Jiva is my Amsa. And how? It is my eternal fragmental part. That means it is different from me eternally. That means it cannot be same as the Supreme Lord. That is very clear in the Bhagavad Gita. This perspective aligns with the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita 15.7, which states that the Jivatman, though part of the divine whole, retains its individuality because it has been separated perpetually. This is the reason. And the Mayavadins interpretation often used nuanced language to describe individuality as apparent. They say individuality is apparent, not real. However, this stance is challenged by the insistence on Jivatman's enduring uniqueness and personal attributes as integral to spiritual realization. This we are very, very clear. We have learned in very great detail from the Bhagavad Gita. That's why what the Mayavadis are saying, that is not correct. Now, next is material world is mithya. How can this material world which we are seeing, we are seeing the mountains, trees, there are so many things, these houses, this so many jivas in it, how can they be mithya? How can they not exist? Only thing, they are temporary. Okay, let us read the slide. Before addressing the notion of the material world as illusory, it is important to acknowledge the shared spiritual intuition present in both Mayavada and the other Vedic philosophies. Now, the ethical call to transcend the ego and see beyond natural material attachments toward a higher spiritual reality. This common ground highlights a mutual understanding of the need for spiritual growth and the pursuit of truth beyond mundane existence. In very simple words, this means this material reality, material world has been created by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it is a part of the Supreme Lord. How can it be the mithya? How can it be illusory? It is not illusory. That means this material world, everybody is related to each other, and it is also related to the Supreme Lord. And the critic challenges the Mayavadin view that the material world is entirely illusory, mithya. That means as if it is not existing. But how can it be? The argument is made that Brahman is true. It cannot produce something false. The material world, therefore, cannot simply be dismissed as an illusion, but must have a valid existence within the context of divine creation, because the Supreme Lord has created it. It is existing. Only thing what is wrong with it, it remains in some time frame, and it does not remain in some time frame. That is, it is not permanent. That is the only thing we can say. We cannot say it is not existing, it is mithya, it is illusory. It is real, there is no doubt, but it is temporary in nature. Let us go to the next slide. Temporary practices. Now the critic notes that Mayavadins regard practices such as the deity worship and chanting as merely temporary steps toward realizing one's identity as Brahman. Like in the Vaishnava tradition, the worshipping of the personal deity is a must. and chanting of the name of the Lord. But they are saying this is not correct. However, it is important to differentiate between the devotion that is seen as provisional and that which is viewed as indispensable. While some Advaitins may view bhakti as a preliminary stage, others continue to engage in these practices throughout their spiritual journey. For instance, some Advaitins might follow the teachings of Sankara, who composed devotional hymns despite his impersonalist philosophy, indicating a nuanced approach to devotion. That means he knows what is devotional service, he knows what is devotion. And as I told you earlier, in his ancestral home, even today, that is in Kerala, the deities of Radha and Krishna, they are worshipped. That means he knew everything because he was Lord Shiva's incarnation, and Lord Shiva is the number one Vaishnava. How can he not know these things? And this diminishes the significance of devotion, which the critic argues is essential for true liberation and is supported by the Vedic text. We know all the Vedic literature, they support this worshipping the Supreme Lord and taking the name of the Supreme Lord. Go to the next slide. Selective interpretation, cherry picking. The exact examples I will be given when I take the lessons 4 and 5 of the Vedanta Sutra, that is Govinda Bhasya. Now the critic claims that Mayavadins interpret the meaning of Vedic text to support their philosophy, focusing solely on the impersonal aspect of Brahman while overlooking passages that emphasize God's personal nature and the importance of devotion. They just pick out something, some part of it, and try to emphasize that the Brahman, that is the Supreme Lord, is impersonal. They do not take into account the other descriptions of personal nature of the Supreme Lord. Now, the next point, for example, Mayavadins often utilize interpretative methods such as Lakshana to expand or alter the literal meaning of text. The totally meaning the change, which is evident in their reading of the Chandogya Upanishad 621. This we will also see later on. Not now. That means they take part of the verses. If the verses, suppose it has got 4 lines, they'll take half the line and they'll try to emphasize and overemphasize on this Mayavada philosophy, and that is what is given in all these examples. Here the word sarvam khalo idam brahma is typically used to underscore an all-encompassing Brahman. But the Mayavadins extend this interpretation to underline an impersonal aspect by employing Lakshana, showing a tendency to favor a particular philosophical outlook. And this approach can make readers consider how certain interpretative strategies might lead to selective emphasis within scriptural exegesis. That means they try to use some portion, some word of from these Upanishads, and they use the grammatical rules, and they try to interpret that they are telling about the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord and not the personal aspect of the Supreme Lord. This is what is very, very important to understand. And much of it, more of it, we'll understand later on when we go into these verses in those in the Govinda Bhasya. Then the next, Adi Shankaracharya's true mission. Now, as we are talking, Adi Shankaracharya was the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, that is the Lord Shiva. Then, why he was teaching these wrong things? The critic highlights that his later works began to lean towards devotion. In the beginning, he wanted to encourage people to leave Buddhism and come back to the fold of the Vedic the culture. And later on, he modified and he taught devotion, suggesting that his original intent was not to establish impersonalism philosophy as the final word, but to prepare the ground for a deeper understanding of God, a theme later emphasized by the other acharyas, the other Vaishnava acharyas, how they developed their philosophies from Advaitavada that we will be learning in subsequent classes. And in conclusion, critique of Mayavadan philosophy is highlighting its philosophical inconsistencies, misinterpretations of Vedic text, and diminishing of individual identity and devotion. He appears to reaffirm the value of a personal relationship with God as understood in the broader Vedic concepts. That means at the end, he taught devotional service. He taught worshipping of the personal God. All these things he did, but initially he did for a purpose only. With this, I come to the end of today's class. But before there is some time, as I had promised, I will tell you about Mandana Mishra's his story. Now, this word Mandana Mishra, somewhere you will find that the word is Mundana Mishra also, and in somewhere also you will find Madan Mishra also. But they are the same thing. And his wife's name was Ubhaya Bharati. And they were an ideal couple. And each of them, both of them, they knew all the branches of learning, and their character was totally ethical, and they were strict, they were observing strictly the Vedic injunctions. And somewhere also it is said that Ubhaya Bharati was supposed to be an incarnation of the goddess of learning, Saraswati Devi. As Mandana Mishra was supposed to be an avatar of Brahma. This is also there. And Mandana Mishra's scholarship and the reverence in which he held, he earned him specific epithet Mandana Mishra. His real name was actually Vishwarupa. Now, Mandan Mishra was a distinguished practitioner of the Mimamsa philosophy. We have learned what Mimamsa is in our earlier classes. The Mimamsa philosophy is mainly derived from the Karmakanda portion of the Vedic literature, and it emphasizes on the importance of rituals. And in this school of thought, a particular ritual is when a particular ritual is done and the results are achieved, they are achieved instantaneously. It displays a straightforward cause and effect relationship if they are practiced accurately. Now, when Shankaracharya he reached the house of Mandana Mishra, it was found bolted from inside. Now, Shankaracharya was a sannyasi. He had no right of admission into the house. He found it closed because these are the rules of Smritic literature. They govern the daily conduct of the traditional sannyasis. Now, Shankaracharya, he thought about this for a little. Then he decided to redeem Mandan Mishra from the rigidity of dogmatic ritualism which he was practicing. Therefore, he used his yogic powers, and with this, he entered the house of Mandan Mishra through the closed door. Now, let us see what happened after that. And Mandan Mishra had an innate dislike for the sannyasis because in his stance belief of ritualism, he felt that only those people who wish to escape the rigors of Vedic injunctions, they accepted the sannyasa ashrama. And moreover, when Shankaracharya entered his house, it was time when he was performing Shraddha and the Brahmins were about to be fed. The entry of Shankaracharya at such a time caused disturbance to Mandan Mishra, and he was totally infuriated. he became agitated. And hot exchanges went between Shankaracharya and Mandan Mishra. And the Brahmins, they found the situation going out of control. Then they wanted to set it right. They suggested to Mandan Mishra to invite Shankaracharya for a viksha, that is for eating there like the sannyasi, the brahmanas. But when it was offered to Shankaracharya, he declined the invitation. He explained that to Mandan Mishra that he did not come for a viksha, but he came for a Vada viksha, a debate in philosophy. And Mandan Mishra, who had never met his match in learning before, he was willing for a fight with Shankaracharya. Then he gladly welcomed it. Then the Shraddha was allowed to be finished and debate fixed for the next day. And Mandan Mishra was a perfect and adept ritualist. And the young and charming Advaita Vedanti, that is Shankaracharya, at that time he was about 25 years of age, he started arguing. Now, Mandan Mishra reasoned that since he had spent more than half of his life learning and preaching Mimamsa, it would be unfair to debate with a youngster in his 20s who barely had any experience. Now, hence, with the intention of being fair to Shankara, Mandan Mishra allowed Shankaracharya to choose his own judge. And Shankaracharya had heard greatly about his wife. That's why his wife became a judge between the two. And to make the dispute more purposeful, they agreed for a wager. Now, if Shankaracharya loses in debate, he would become the disciple of Mandan Mishra and get married also. And if Mandan Mishra loses, he would become a sannyasi and disciple of Shankaracharya. And this was a bet for the debate. Then the debate between them commenced and continued for months. And thousands of scholars every day they came to watch that. And Mandan Mishra at that ripe old age still remained a man with very sharp intellect and very solid grasp of logic. But he was slowly losing the debate. And despite being such a young man, Shankaracharya's realization of the ultimate Brahman and his knowledge of Maya enabled him to win over Mandan Mishra's arguments very, very easily. And Mandan Mishra was a very accomplished ritualist, yet he seemed to lack some understanding of the higher spiritual truths that Shankaracharya seemed to have experienced already at that young age. And at the long period of time, Mandan Mishra was almost ready to accept defeat. Then his wife Ubhaya Bharati declared that in order to defeat a man in debate, the opponent should also defeat his wife, who would ask questions on Kama Shastra to Shankara. Now, Shankara, he asked Bharati to give him an interval of 1 month time for his preparation to hold the controversy with her in the science of Kama Shastra. Because as I told you earlier, he became, he left his household at the age of 12 years and he had no experience on this. Now, she also agreed, and Shankar then went to Kashi and he separated his Sukshma Sharira from his spiritual body, which was meant, this was done by his yogic powers, and left his physical body in the hole of a big tree and asked his disciples to take care of that physical body. Then he entered into the dead body of a king. His name was Raja Amaruka, which was about to be cremated. And when his soul entered, the king rose up and all the people they rejoiced because this was a very surprising incident. and the ministers and the queens, they soon found that the revived king was a different person with different qualities and thought. And they realized that the soul of a great Mahatma had entered this body. Therefore, what they did, the messengers were sent out to search for a human body hidden somewhere in any lonely forest or caves in the body in the country and burn it when found. And they thought that by doing so, the new king might remain with them for a long time. Then Shankara was acquiring all the experience of love with his queens, and the disciples they began to search for him. They heard about the miraculous resurrection of that king, and they immediately proceeded to the city for an interview with the king. And what they did, instead of telling him directly, they sang a song with few philosophical meanings, which at once revived the memory of Shankaracharya. And the disciples they immediately returned to the place where the physical body of Shankara was kept hidden. And by that time, the messengers of the queen had found that physical body and had just begun to set it on fire. But the Atma, soul of Shankaracharya, just entered the body, and Shankaracharya prayed to Lord Hari to help him, and there was a shower of rain immediately, and that extinguished the flames. Then Shankara returned to the residence of Mandan Mishra. He resumed the old controversy and answered all the questions raised by Mandan Mishra's wife satisfactorily, and Mandan Mishra gave all his property as a gift to Shankaracharya, and Mandan Mishra was made to distribute this property to the poor and the deserving. Then he became a disciple of Shankaracharya, and Shankaracharya initiated him into the holy order of sannyasa, and he gave him the name Sureshwara Acharya. And Sureshwara Acharya was the first sannyasi who took charge of the Sringeri Mutt. And Bharati also accompanied Shankaracharya to Sringeri, where she is also worshipped even today. This is what is the story of Shankaracharya. And now I have told you this story. Now the whole lesson is finished. Now the session is open for question and answers and your comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Prabhu, for such a wonderful, glorious session on Adi Shankara. Okay, especially.
Prabhuji is saying something, but his mic is off.
No, what I'm saying that Madan Mishra story, I knew about it, but the details that you told us today, and that was very, very enlightening. Thank you, Prabhuji.
I had actually studied this about 50 years back. I also remembered.
50 years back, you studied this philosophy?
Yes, all these things I had studied a long time back. I only, while I was serving for 34 years, that time there was a gap. Otherwise, before and after, I kept on studying.
I see. Wonderful. Very interesting.
So fortunate, Prabhu, to have you. Yeah. Sarat Prabhu. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Such a wonderful session. You glorified Adi Shankara. Okay, to the great extent, he is the one who brought back the Vedas to this Karma Bhumi. Okay,
Yes.
to Bharat, Prabhu. Very wonderful session, Prabhu. But he actually he is focused on Jnana, Prabhu. But I'm sorry, Prabhu. But if you see Adi Shankara, I would like to emphasize a couple of points, Prabhu, where he visited so many temples in the India, Prabhu. We established, okay, the dharmic puja means the way the puja what is being established long back, but after that it is been stopped because of Jainism. He has re-established. If you see Tirumala Balaji temple, all South Indian temples he has visited, Prabhu, and many North Indian temples also I think he visited. But South Indian temple, it has been clearly mentions that Adi Shankara is being visited, okay, and then re-established, and he advised how to perform the puja and various other things, Prabhu. And most of the temples he has visited, Sri Shailam, Tirumala, okay, and Srirangam, okay, whatnot, everything, okay, he has visited, and he instructed how to do the puja, okay, what kind of how to perform all those things he has done. He has played a major role, Prabhu, okay, to bring back Sanatan Dharma and back to this country. Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Okay, you clarified
Thank
like
you,
enough.
Prabhuji. Therefore, don't discard him as a Mayavadi.
No, yes, exactly.
Prabhuji, this Sankaracharya line is still continuing. Even today also Sankaracharya exists, right? In that line, there are
Shankaracharya
four
exists,
mathas.
Prabhu. He
Four
has
mathas are
established the
there.
4 mathas, Prabhu. Yes,
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
I was
East,
wondering,
west,
there are
north,
four.
south, Prabhu. He
I was
has
wondering what
established
is
those
their
4 mathas.
philosophy?
Yeah.
What is their
He wants to
philosophy?
protect.
The
Correct.
recent Sankaracharyas, you know.
Correct, Prabhu. He wants to protect the entire this mother, this Bharata Bhumi. He wants to protect. Okay, that no other should come apart from Vedic knowledge. Okay, so the
No,
main thing of
I'm
this.
talking about the Sankaracharya, the present Sankaracharya, you know. The line is continuing, right?
It is
Yes,
continuing.
there are 4 Shankaracharyas.
The 4 mathas.
4 mathas is there. One is in Jagannath Puri. He comes up, shows up sometimes and gives so many statements. Like in India, presently there is one controversy also going on regarding the Shankaracharya who is in Badrikashram. That case is in the Supreme Court. That is there. Like that means they are there even in Odisha. Like any major decision on the Jagannath temple is to be taken, then the Puri Shankaracharya is always consulted.
You know, my family, my ancestors, they are all followers of Sankaracharya, you know. You know,
Yes.
there are 10 names, Darshanam Goswami, you know.
Yes.
Giri, Puri, Bharti. So my last name Giri is because of that, you know.
Yes, in that tradition it is.
Saraswati and all this Giri, Puri, but one Tirth, Sagar, Ashrama, like those kind of names are there.
Yes,
Yeah. I just want to add one point, Prabhu, and then close it, Prabhu. Okay. Prabhu, there is something like Sankara Bhashyam, Prabhu. In that, the history of Adi Shankara and his preachings are mentioned. So in that, it is been emphasized Bhakti also. And also, Adi Shankara is a Krishna devotee. And his mother is a strong Krishna devotee. Okay, his mother. Okay, and father. Okay, they served the deities. Okay, in Kaladi. Okay, after that only Adi Shankara took birth. Okay, even today, if you go to Kaladi Prabhu, okay, after after seeing the birthplace of Adi Shankara, you just come outside. We could see the temple, Prabhu. Okay. Over there, you can see the Lord Krishna.
Yeah, I visited that temple.
You visited.
I
Okay.
visited.
It is so wonderful, deity Prabhu, in Kerala. Okay,
Yes.
Adi Shankara. Yeah. So he is actually the devotee of Krishna, but it is not explicitly mentioned, Prabhu. Yeah, because of multiple reasons. Yeah, some of the reasons Sharat Prabhu covered today, actually. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prashant Prabhuji, thank you so much for information.
Thank you, Prabhu. Haribol.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Prabhuji, our Jagannath Ashtakam is also given by Shankaracharya.
Yes.
Haribol. Correct.
Yes.
Jagannath Ashtakam is
Yes, Prabhuji. So wonderful class, Prabhuji. So wonderful class. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
That very first that very first verse it proves that there is no difference between Jagannath and Sri Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the very nice class. Prabhu, can I ask one question regarding
Yes.
how is there any like Shankara Sampradaya in Vrindavan, and there are devotees there following that, and still they are devotees of Krishna?
Yes, there are there, and even within Vaishnava Sampradaya also, you will find there is a mixture of understanding. People say certain things, because now we all have understood. When you have understood the whole thing, and when you hear people, you can understand. People have got a tinge of this Mayavadi philosophy in them, and there are people in Vrindavan also. They say about these things that is there. That is very true.
And even Sridhar Swami was supposedly from Shankara Sampradaya, but then he was a great devotee of Krishna, isn't it, Prabhu?
Yes, that's why what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. He said anybody who criticizes him, he is a prostitute. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said this, and the greatest commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam is he only.
Adi Shankara gave Bhashyam for Bhagavatam, Prabhu. Are you saying Adi Shankara has given a Bhashyam for Bhagavatam?
No. Adi Shankaracharya, he could not have, because nobody can disrespect the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why he did not say anything about Bhagavatam.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Incidentally, by the way, Premaji is with us. Let's hear from Premaji.
Yes.
Namaste, Premaji.
Hare
Soon
Krishna.
we'll be hearing Visishta Advaitavada philosophy from her, you know.
Yes.
I don't know, not like
Premaji?
you all. You're all an expert. I have very little knowledge, but then what I've been practicing, of course, I will share. So it's a wonderful class, Prabhuji. It was, I mean, such a detailed explanation, and Modi ji always comes with the dialogue. What do you mean by dialogue? So listen to Mandal and Shankaracharya. He always gives that example. Well, anyway, so to come back to Mataji, what she was saying that, all those who follow Shankaracharya in South India, they are called Iyer. Iyer is like, having the Vibhuti this way. And those Visishta Advaita, Iyengars, so, I mean, it's not only for Brahmins, it's otherwise also. They say Shiva is the ultimate. And Shiva Puran says that. And of course, we all say that, it is Krishna, it is Bhagavatam, but they all believe. Bhagavatam, Rama, Krishna, the way it is like they believe and they follow, but they will say that Shivji is the Adi Shankara, and that's how. Otherwise, it's not that Shankaracharya Mutt or Shankara philosophy. I was in Kanchipuram Mutt for almost 2 months to, central government had sent me as a teacher candidate to have conversation when all three acharyas were there in Kanchi Mutt. Now, Bala Periva. So I was like, because I could have the conversation in Hindi, they called me. Now, they follow Krishna, they follow Bhagavatam, they say Krishna is ultimate, but they will keep Shivji as Nataraja and Shivji as main. There's nothing wrong because you follow Shivji to become a bhakta. That's what they say. Please, the way Shivji had been reciting Rama mantra, that is how he got. So, if you want the salvation, if you want the mukti, it is through Shiv. Ask Shiv to become the bhakta like him. That's what it is, their argument. But they don't deny mukti only Krishna can give. That also they say salvation. But it's a wonderful class. I think, but then there is not much of difference. That's what I'm trying to say. Because they also follow Rama and Krishna. We hear a lot of concerts. It's Dikshidhar. He's teaching Vyasa Bharatam. In that, of course, it's all in Tamil, but Vyasa Bharatam, he clearly says it's only Krishna. It's how Krishna came. It's Vyasa Bharatam. All those, when we listen, they strictly follow. If you want mukti, only he can give. If you want salvation from this rebirth, and then it is only Krishna. They all say that. It's the way they do the rituals in the temple, in Pancharatra Agama Shastra, in the temple, in the Garbhagraha, how it should be done is all what Ramanujara has given. But in Shiva temples, how it should be done, it's Shankaracharya. It's only the philosophy which matters. They say that, okay, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, and we say no. We don't. Anyhow, so, I mean, to cut short, what I'm saying is they do follow Rama and Krishna. They strictly say that he is the only one. And they also say Shivji shows the path.
Thank
So
you,
that's
Mataji.
okay. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Prabhaji.
much for
Prabhaji, may
clarifying.
I ask you one thing? May I ask you?
Please, please.
Just for my information, this tilak you are wearing, this red tilak with a line like this, that's a typical Sri Sampradaya, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lakshmi Devi's symbol, like this one.
Right. And so the ladies have one down below this white. White is
Oh,
Vishnu's padam. So my husband
I
puts like
see.
this, no? So Urdhva Putram. He puts it like
Yeah.
you, and then in
Oh.
between center. So that you is Vishnu's padam, Vishnu's feet,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
the center one is Lakshmi.
So
So
Lakshmi Narayan, that sister,
exactly.
they worship, right? Lakshmi
Yes.
Narayan.
Today is
Thank
a
you,
very
Prabhaji. Prabhaji,
auspicious
so
Friday.
wonderful. It's a great opportunity to have you here, Thank you
I'm
so
so
much.
fortunate. I'm blessed to be among the devotees like this. Thank you so
Prabhaji,
much.
we are all blessed by your presence, by your, you are taking so active part in this. It's a great
No,
fortune for all of us,
Where I'm listening to Sri Bhashyam, as I told you, Ataste Brahma Jignasa, just one sentence, 2 months over now. It is not easy. The
Right,
amount
so
of
deep
that you are
philosophy.
doing. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hari
Thank
Bol.
you. I'll leave. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
All of you.
Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranama. Thank you.
Dandvat Mataji.
Any other question anybody has? If
Thank you,
not, then
Sarah
maybe we
Prabhuji.
can
Wonderful class.
we can conclude the class earlier then maybe.
Yes, probably. So now the foundation has been put. Now it will be easier for us to understand the various Vaishnava philosophies, starting with Ramanujacharya.
Prabhuji, there is a time. Can we sing some 2-3 shloka of Jagannath Astakam?
Yeah, please.
So it is wonderful offering to him.
Yes.
Yes,
You know that?
Jagannath.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. Continue.
जगन्नाथ अष्टकम की जय हो। कदाचित कालिंदी तट विपिन संगीत करवो मुदाभिरी नारी वदन कमला स्वाद मधुपः रमा शंभु ब्रह्मा मरपति गणेशा चित्तपदो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे भुजे सवे वेणुं शिरसि शिखि पुच्छं कटितटे दुकूलं नेत्रान्ते सहचर कटाक्षं विदधते सदा श्रीमत वृंदावन वसति लीला परिचयो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे महाम्बोधे स्थिरे कनकरुचिरे नीलशिखरे वसन् प्रसादान्त सहज बलभद्रेण बलिना सुभद्रा मध्यस्थ सकल सुरसेवा वसरदो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे May I continue or Prabhuji, may I stop here?
Yes.
Yeah. We still have time,
Okay. कृपा पारावार सजल जल कृपा पारावार सजल जलद श्रेणी रुचिरो रमावाणी राम स्फुरदमल पंखेरुहमुखः सुरेन्द्रराराध्य श्रुति गणशिखा गीतचरितो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे रथारूढो गच्छन् पथि मीलित भूदेव पटले स्तुति प्रादुर्भावं प्रतिपदमुपकार्य सदया दया सिंधु बंधु सकल जगतां सिंधु सुतया जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे परब्रह्म पीड कुवलयदलो फूल नयनो निवासी नीलांद्रो निहित चरणोनंत शिरसी रसानंद राधा सरस वपुरा लिंगन सीखो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे नवेयाचे राजं न चकन माणिक्य विभवम् न याचेऽहं रम्यां सकल जनकाम्यां वरवधूम् सदा काले काले प्रमथपतिन गीतचरितो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे हर त्वं संसारं द्रुततरमसारं सुरपते हर त्वं पापानां विततिम् अपरां यादवपते अहो दीननाथे निहितचरणो निश्चितमिदम् जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथाष्टकं पुण्य पठित प्रेत शुचि सर्व पाप विशुद्धात्मा विष्णु लोकं स गच्छति हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। तो शंकराचार्य की के चरणों में कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हो। थैंक यू प्रभु जी, वंडरफुल सेवा।
Thank you Mataji, so much beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. May I request Harsha Mataji today to do the Narsimha prayers, please? Harsha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Hiranyakashipu Hiranyakashipu Shilatanka nakalaye Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimha Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimha Bhai Narasimha Ritai Narasimha Bhai Narasimha Ritai Narasimha Narasimha Din Sharanam Prapade
नरसिंहतिं शरणं प्रपदे तव कलकमलवरे नखम् अद्भुतशृङ्गम् दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गम् केशवद्रीटा नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरि जय जगदीश हरि तव कलकमलवरे नखम् अद्भुतशृङ्गम् दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गम् केशवद्रीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरि जय जगदीश हरि जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नरसिंह भगवान देव की जय भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय गौर निताई की जय चंद्र भगवान की जय शरद प्रभु की जय संजय प्रभु की जय assemble all Mataji's and Prabhuji's please bless me. I'm sorry if I made any mistake. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Very good, Harsha. Oh, beautiful, Karita.
Thank you, Mataji. Harsha.
Thank you. God bless you.
So wonderful, Mataji.
Everybody know that
everyone.
she's my sister-in-law. Everybody know that?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now we are a good friend also.
Yeah, we are good friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hari bol.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Prabhuji.
much.
Hari bol.
Thank you.
Dandat pranam to all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandat pranam to all devotees.
Mataji.
Hari bol. Thank you.
Mataji.
We'll meet tomorrow now, right? Tomorrow we meet, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Tomorrow, lesson 148.
Okay. Hari bol. And thank you, Sharad Prabhuji. Wonderful lesson today.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
We always learned something extra
Thank you,
from you, you know.
Prabhuji, for the wonderful session and more knowledge you gave us for others.
Always we learn something extra from him, you know.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
wonderful.
Very true. Very true.
Mandal
Hare
Mishra.
Krishna.
May we all have a wonderful, wonderful Nityanand Triyodashi today. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
best
Mataji.
wishes to all. Hari bol.
Hare